Hello, my name is Gabby and welcome to my channel if you are new. Once again, there are quite a few of you who are new, so please say hi in the comments. I love talking to you guys, especially when there are new people, so hello, welcome. And today's topic of the day, drumroll please, is control and surrender. These topics is something that I've touched upon before, especially when I was talking about surrender and letting go when it comes to attracting the things that you want and manifestation, visualization. But today I just wanted to talk about control and surrender in life, right? So one of the things that is a personal, I don't want to use the word struggle, a personal lesson. Here we go, putting a lesson in a challenge. A personal lesson of mine right now, through which I am, working on or learning, is about surrendering control. A lot of the times, when it comes to organizing or wanting to know how things are going to happen, when they're going to happen, I am very much in my future-based thinking. Now, that's a good and a bad thing. I do things in the present that I can control to make sure that my future will be good. For example, I have been working out regularly for the last 10 years. I think the biggest break that I took was for a month when I moved from Europe to New York, but that was the biggest chunk of time that I took off without working out. Ever since I was, like 13, I've been working out every single week, at least 3 times a week. Health is a big priority in my life. I want to live a healthy life for as long as possible. So I take the actions right now, something that I control. I eat healthy, I exercise, I meditate, so I can ensure that my body and this vehicle of mine serves me for as long as possible, as smoothly as possible. That's great. However, other times, this control thing or thinking about the future all the time is a bit of a hurdle because it takes me out of the present moment. And if you are into psychology, if you've worked with a therapist before, or if you've done some reading around psychology, a lot of the times we are in the future because it comes from our fear-based thinking. We say to ourselves, all right, if I can control what's going to happen in the future, or if I can predict what's going to happen in the future as closely as possible, then I can avoid getting hurt, or I can avoid things happening that I would not be ready for. And oftentimes we see it as a trauma response. If, growing up, we were put into situations that were out of our control, that we really couldn't do anything about, we'll grow up and we'll have things like OCD, or having to organize things in a very specific way, or wanting to, or setting expectations onto people, or wanting to, control our career or our job, or being very focused on, being those A students and getting everything really perfectly and really well. Because, as I said, if we can control things as much as possible, then we think, and that's the thing, it's not a definite thing, we think that things will not surprise us in the future because we can prepare for it. And this is something that I feel like I've always had, but now that I'm working with a therapist and I am doing more in-depth studying for psychology, I'm beginning to, of course, reflect on my own self and just see how much my mind and my thoughts are in the future. And that's the thing. In my previous video, if you've seen, I talked about our thoughts and the fact that we are not our thoughts, right? We are the observer of our thoughts. So it's a very, I don't want to say a difficult task, but it's a challenging task, at least for me, to separate me and my thoughts. So when my mind goes into these little hamster wheel cycles where I'm thinking about the future and I'm trying to predict the future, I need to look at it from a distance, or like from an outsider's point of view, and be like, wait a second, we're not there, we are here and right now. And of course, things are going to happen that are out of our control. But if we feel very comfortable and very grounded in ourselves, then all the turmoil that's happening around us, we'll be able to deal with it. And it actually makes me think of this dream that I had, I think it was 3 years ago. It was 2019, it was January or February of 2019, I had this very specific dream that I was sitting in the middle of the street in New York City, in a meditative, like in a lotus position with my legs crossed, with my eyes closed. And I felt so peaceful and so centered and calm. And there was so much happening around it. There were cars going past and honking. There were all these people walking around and shouting. There was so much turmoil, but I just remember that vivid image of me sitting in that street so calm and everything happening around me. So every time when I think about being grounded, that kind of image comes to my mind. So when we are grounded and when we are centered in ourselves, everything else that is going on, it's sort of like a wave that just like comes, washes over us, and then like it has to come to an end sooner or later. And again, like with anything, it's easier said than done. I've had this conversation with so many people saying that it's one thing when you can intellectually know something or read something and understand it, and it's a whole other thing to experience it and to actually live through it, right? Like we can read all about the struggles that people faced and how, they had all these challenges, and when somebody has, these negative beliefs about themselves and thoughts, and then they kind of like hit rock bottom, and then after they hit rock bottom, they like go forward and they flourish, and like they needed the rock bottom to kind of be like a springboard for them, right? Well, you read about it and you're like, oh no, yeah, I totally get it, like pain and challenges, like we need those things to grow. And I know that intellectually, but then when you're faced with it in real life, when you're actually feeling through it, when you're actually experiencing it, it's a whole different thing. And it actually makes me think about movies. When you look at movies like Rocky, or to be honest, any kind of movie, especially I like the movies about like athletes or something sports related, where everything's going really, really well, and then the athlete has an injury or loses a fight or something happens and they hit rock bottom, and then the next 30-minute sequence is them working super hard for like the next 4 or 5 months, and then they win the championship or they get back and flourish and blah, 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 blah. The only thing with this is that we're so accustomed to seeing these success stories on YouTube in a form of a 10-minute video, in movies in a form of a 90-minute video, by reading a blog post or reading a book that's 300 pages, and we're like, wow, cool, they came through the other side. But all of these experiences have been compressed into the 300 pages or the 90 minutes or the 10 minutes. So it's very easy for me, at least, again, I'm talking from my own personal experience, it's very easy for me to forget the timeline and that things take time. When you're going through something difficult, it takes time for you to get to the other side. And this is what I am facing right now. The control and the surrender. I keep wanting to hold on a second. I have this in every video. I kind of like lose my words. I keep wanting to not surrender to what it is that I'm feeling right now. So if I'm feeling upset, if I'm feeling frustrated, if I'm feeling angry, I want the feeling to go away. I want it to just leave me alone. I want to be past it rather than allowing myself to let it come and leave like a wave. So this is something that I'm working through right now. I already had one successful trial where I embraced the feeling, I let it pass through me, and then I felt so much better. Like it completely felt like it left my body. And I know that if I suppress it, if I don't let myself feel the anger, the frustration, the sadness, or the fear, and I just keep telling myself, no, like ignore it, or it's not real, like don't fall into it. It's almost like a bucket that's filled up that never gets to be fully drained, right? It's just sitting there until more piles up and then it spills over. So surrendering to my emotions and to what I'm feeling currently is the goal. Therapy helps so much. Like, guys, if you've worked with a therapist before, if you are working with a therapist, or if you're considering working with a therapist, 10 out of 10, highly recommend. It's wonderful. Or a coach, or really anybody that can help support you and is an outsider professional that can help you look at yourself and can help you understand yourself and that can help you heal. So control really is a mechanism to avoid unexpected events or unexpected pain. So if we keep thinking about the future, then maybe, hopefully, we get to avoid pain that we don't want to feel. Surrender is simple, but it's not easy, especially for us people who are anxious and who are worriers and who really are very much into the future and wanting to control the future so then things don't surprise us. Question for you: how many of you think about the future, but you know that it's not because you want to set up for yourself for success, but it's because you want to avoid bad things from happening? So if you're a worrier and you are in the future a lot because you're trying to control it because it's fear-based, let me know in the comments below. You're not alone. I'm there with you too, boo. I'd love to hear from you. And once again, I said it so many times, I'll say it again: become the researcher of your own self. Question yourself, investigate yourself, understand yourself. That's the only way that we can grow. And I feel like as we question ourselves and as we begin to understand our patterns, our behaviors, our beliefs, our thoughts, the most important thing is to not judge ourselves. Just looking at it from a compassionate place. So thank you so much for clicking on this video. Thank you so much for watching it. If you've gotten this far, I want this to be a safe space for people to explore their inner worlds and then share their explorations with the community. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!